We're on to the final four of Euro 2024. This is your semi-final breakdown right here on Pinnacle. I am Gareth Wheeler. He is Jake Osgathorpe. Two mouth-watering ties, at least on paper. We'll see how they actually play out. On Tuesday, it is Spain and France. On Wednesday, it is England and the Netherlands. One of those sides will be crowned champion of Euro 2024 over the course of the next 6 days. Three of the four quarterfinal ties ended up going to extra time, Jake. The only one that didn't was Netherlands 2, Turkey 1. Should we be surprised by this tight, cagey play at this stage of a major competition?
No, absolutely not. I was surprised three of the four did. Historically, it was 63% of quarterfinals since Euro 2020. Since Euro 2000, 63% had been won basically in 90 minutes. So there'd only been 37% of the draws. So to get 3 out of 4 was interesting. But the low goal totals are, to me anyway, really interesting because I don't know if you remember back to Euro 2020. It was actually a ridiculous goal spike for a major tournament. We saw way more goals than we'd ever seen before in the Euros. And this Euros, I wasn't sure whether we were going to get the same, obviously, with generally a more proactive teams up and down the continent in terms of club level. So it's definitely reverted though. We've seen very few high scoring games, and ultimately when you have low scoring games, the draw comes into play massively, doesn't it?
2020 also played in 2021 because of COVID. Lots of teams playing in their home nation, which does come with real advantage as well. But you're absolutely right. The goals have grinded to a halt. If you watched our quarterfinal preview, well done to Jake. Robin Lenormand, caution, that paid at a decent price with the unders for Portugal and France, for England and whoever they played in their last game. It was that exciting. Switzerland, the unders there. Switzerland on the handicap was a play. It's just you won half your bet. And then Netherlands, Turkey was the only one that got me. I know that you were backing the Netherlands. I didn't think Turkey could score, and them scoring that early goal threw a little bit of a wrench. But overall, a profitable quarterfinal stage.
Absolutely, yeah. I had it down as 3 winners, a push, and a loss because I had the overs in the Netherlands game, which was lovely. As soon as Turkey took the lead there, I was anticipating a comeback. But yeah, the only push was England scoring late against Switzerland to ruin the under 2. But as an Englishman, I can't be too disheartened about that one.
Yeah. I have a lot to say about Roberto Martinez. We don't have time on this podcast for me to gripe and groan about this man as being manager of Portugal, which blew up a number of future plays for me. But I knew the risk heading in, and I absolutely got burned. So let's move on to the final four fixtures, Spain and France. Spain advancing a late goal in extra time. It was Moreno who got it after De La Fuente had kind of played all of his cards, and Germany had an attack-minded side, and Spain were down some key players, yet they persevere. It didn't go to penalties. Spain go on to beat Germany. 2-1 was the final. Olmo scored the goal. He came on for an injured Pedri in regular time. Of course, there was casualties. Pedri's out. He's out through injury. Lenormand will be suspended for the final match, or the semifinal tie as well. And Danny Carvajal did a nice NFL-type tackle later on to I guess, preserve the 2-1 victory. He misses out on this game as well. That's 7 wins in a row for Spain and no losses in 8 overall. Interestingly for Spain, they've had less possession than their opponent twice in this tournament, 48% against Germany, 47% against Croatia. Those 2 times are more than times that they've had less possession than an opponent in 44 previous tournament matches, dating from 2006 to 2022. So they're playing in a different way. Jake was all over it last time. It was going to be a bloodbath between Spain and Germany, and it absolutely played out that way. As for France, it was a grind. Chances were few and far between. It was 0-0, went to penalties against Portugal. Theo Hernandez came away with the match-winning penalty. Mike Maignan was excellent in this game and excellent in penalties as well, as Mbappe and company survive. And I bring up Mbappe because he left the game early. Clearly his face, that facial injury, is really bothering him. He has 1 goal and it came from a pen. in 20 shots over the course of this tournament. It's been well documented that France have gone on to play, the 5 games in this tournament, and they haven't scored a goal from open play. There's in their games, there's only been 4 goals scored. 2 have been own goals and 2 are penalties. That's it. It's incredible. France have in their games 128 non-penalty shots, and like I said, only 4 goals scored. 86 non-penalty shots for France in this tournament, and they don't have a goal from open play. And that includes 12 big chances as well. They're taking on a Spanish side that head-to-head, they've gone under 2.5 in 6 of the last 7 meetings. Last time they played was in 2021. It was a 2-1 victory for France in that match. Benzema and Mbappe scored, but you look at the Spanish side, only Rodri, Unai Simon, and Laporte remain as prohibitive starters for France. Mbappe, Griezmann, Tchouameni, if he is a starter, Hernandez, and Jules Koundé as well. This is their 6th all-time meeting at a major tournament. Spain are a slight favorite, a narrow favorite heading into this one. To win it in 90 minutes, plus 179 if you want to back Spain. The draw is plus 189, France at plus 210. The handicap's a draw, no bet, minus 116 for Spain, plus 107 for France on Pinnacle. And to qualify, minus 119 for Spain, plus 106 for France. The total is set at just 2. What do you make of this fixture? Does it play out in a more free-flowing, attack-minded style like Spain-Germany? Or do France just try to grind this one out like they did against Portugal?
It's definitely going to be the latter. You won't see France taking the handbrake off now, not at this stage. Because that's the game that Spain want, ultimately. Spain want quick transitions. They want to be able to get the wide players the ball in one-on-one situations and be very direct with that. Whereas France are quite happy to just sit in, keep a clean sheet, and hope something happens at the other end, or like we saw in the last game, take its penalties and win that way. So, yeah, I fully expect this to be a very low-scoring game. France's mid to deep block is going to frustrate the hell out of Spain. We're going to see them have a lot of possession, I think, and France are going to be looking to pounce. It's a difficult one because I look at these markets and I immediately want to back France to qualify at plus 108. I know they've not been as good as Spain have in this tournament, but you don't get style points. You just, you advance. That's all that matters. You don't get extra points or progress further because you played well. Just getting through is all that matters. And France have made a real habit of doing that the last 4 or 5 tournaments, really, ever since Didier Deschamps took over. So, they know what they're doing. They know how to get further. They know how to get to finals. And Spain, they've got a couple of players in there that are experienced, but it's quite a young team. And I think that kind of extra nous that France have does give them a little bit of an edge. And I also think that we speak a lot about, on the Premier League Insights pod, about managers being stubborn in their approach and basically, trusting their own process. And I think De La Fuente falls into that band of being, I don't think he's going to change his approach. And I think France, it will suit them. I was quite surprised that Roberto Martinez was a little bit more cautious in that game against France than what I was expecting. But I don't think De La Fuente is going to do that, not with the players he has available. So of the main markets, I definitely will be looking at taking France to qualify at plus 108. But I also have another bookings bet because we had so much success with the Spain-Germany game. I'm going to take Jesus Navas to be carded at plus 400. That is the same bloke that played for Manchester City about 20 years ago. He is still playing football. And he's going to be the right back, I think, with Carvajal suspended. He came in against Albania in the final group game, played right back, actually captain, I think, for a part of that game. And yeah, his price looks way too big to me. He's likely going to be up against Kylian Mbappe drifting into that left space. You've got Theo Hernandez potentially overlapping as well, who draws a lot of fouls, and obviously Mbappe does as well. He's very elusive. And this season in La Liga, Navas has picked up 6 yellows, an average of 0.27 yellows per 90 minutes. So I was expecting to be around plus 300, never mind plus 400. And the referee's a decent appointment as well. He's handed out 4 and 5 cards in his 2 Euros matches. The latter, he actually refereed Spain's win over Italy, booked 3 Spain players, including the Spanish right back and the Spanish right centre half. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean anything, but I think that's definitely an avenue for success for France, is targeting that right hand side of Spain in those quick transitions and try and isolate Navas.
Fair play. That was what I was going to bring up. The fact that Navas is playing, the fact that it looks like Nacho will come in to the back four as well. Remember, Cucurella is known for more of his attacking prowess rather than being a great defender. Changing two in your back four is difficult at this stage of a tournament. And that's where I think Spain may be a little bit vulnerable. Remember, Germany should have won this game. Full crew went off the post. Verts missed an absolute sitter late on as well. He could have had a brace against that. Spain rode their luck in the late stages, and I don't think they can play the way that they did against Germany and get away with it against France. The threats: Lamine Yamal, Jules Koundé will be up against Nico Williams, Lamal against Hernandez. I think that these are decent enough matchups for France. I think they're very strong in both of those fullback areas, and that's really been the strength of this Spanish side. If Fabian Ruiz came off, it looked like he was struggling a little bit late in the game as well. Should be good to go, but just something to keep in mind here. Rather than betting to qualify, because it very well could go to extra time, it's going to be tight. I just like France on the handicap, the draw no bet at a plus number, plus 107. For me, I think the wrong side is on a plus number, because I think that France should be more like minus 116 and Spain at plus 107. Clearly, there's very little to separate these teams. I also look at these chances, Jake, like 87 non-penalty shots for France. Like, they've had a lot of shots, the fourth most in the tournament. The fact is they haven't been high quality chances. Can they translate them into better chances against the Spanish back line that's, being forced to rotate significantly? I would say so. I think they have to. I'm very interested to see what Didier Deschamps' starting 11 will be. And this might predicate how far I go into this, because I think if he's a little bit more brave and plays Griezmann in the middle with a midfield two behind him, whether it's Conte and Rabiot's back available, or Chouameni or Camavinga, none of them other than Conte have been great over the course of this tournament, and plays an out-and-out right winger, I think they can find some joy in attack. Get back to playing Kolo Muani and Dembele and Mbappe up top. Like, play all three of them with Griezmann in behind. I think they can have some joy. If that's the case, I like over the total. I think it's worthwhile playing over 2 anyways. You can find both teams to score at plus 108, but I'm more than happy to play over 2 at minus 106. If it ends up on 2 goals, you get your money back. Like, this is a low number for the type of attacking players that are on the field for both sides. And it's not as if France didn't have chances against Portugal. I think the game was more played that way because of the Portuguese than it was for the French. So I think France can play in multiple ways. I think they can create chances, and I'm looking for a little bit more of an open game than what we saw the French play in the quarterfinal. So I'll make a full unit play at over 2 in this game at minus 106, as well as France on the handicap as a draw no bet at plus 107. Anything else to add for this game? Any other leans or comments?
No, other than to say that your overs bet could be very, very behind the sofa kind of watch, because the history is against you. I think it's 33% of all semi-finals since 2000 have gone over 2.5 goals, or would have seen this bet land, basically, which is a really low number. And the average goal total in semi-final matches is 2.08. So you would be going a little bit against the grain on that one.
Yeah, but we'll see. Spain went all out when needed to against Germany. I think that their style of play, if it's more of a Spanish style play, and I think they have to, based upon this back four, a 2-1 would be nice in this game. And that leads me to a potential future bet I want to ask you about, because no one has run away with the golden boot. Cody Gakpo's, I guess, in the driver's seat on 3 goals at this point. There's 2 games to play for whoever wins this game. I just wonder if it's worthwhile reinvestigating the goal scoring market. Who's going to win Golden Boot in this tournament? And I'm turning to Kylian Mbappe here, because he has 1 goal in this tournament, and he's listed on Pinnacle as plus 1601. He needs 2 goals in the final to make it a push, and Gakpo not to score. I think it can happen. I think that this player has the ability to turn it on and potentially score 2 or 3 goals here over the next 3 games. And at that price, I think it's worth putting something behind it. Mbappe has 20 shots over the course of this tournament, and the one goal came on a penalty. It's not as if he's not getting chances, Jake. Now, we can argue about the quality of chances. I absolutely understand that. But this player has the ability to turn it on like no other in this tournament. And that is a big number for a player who's just two goals back of the outright lead. Is that an area? Is that at a number that's playable, or would it have to be higher?
Yeah, for me it'd have to be higher, just because France, I just don't see they're going to score. I mean, obviously there's a chance they score once here and once in the final, and Mbappe gets both. But yeah, they're just such a low margin team. I'm not sure if I'd be getting involved at this stage. There's nothing that I fancy at all really in this market. I was looking, I think Danny Olmo, if he gets a goal, he takes the lead because it's settled on most assists if the goals are tied. But again, like I know me fancying France to qualify kind of puts me off there. The fact that Olmo won't have a couple of games, but yeah, I'll be leaving this alone, this, and just focusing purely on the individual matchups.
Just wanted to point it out. I don't think it's a bad play whatsoever if you want to take a punt at that. And again, this isn't Spain's first choice back four heading into this game, and they did look vulnerable at times. And they're willing to give up possession, and we'll see what France can do, whether they can expose the Spanish back line. They played spectacularly well over the course of this tournament, but all bets are off in terms of what that
I
forward
mean,
will look like in a game against another top
what
side
could
in
be an
France.
interesting bet is the Georgia forward, Georgios Mikhautadze, because I think after if they're tied on assists, I think it goes to the player who's played the fewest minutes. Um, and
Fewest
obviously, so
minutes.
if Gakpo gets knocked out without scoring, then he is the leader in the Golden Boot market, is the Georgia striker. So plus 549. I mean, Harry Kane's is the third favourite. He needs to score twice. Olmo needs just one, but Bellingham there, I think he needs one and probably an assist or two. So yeah, maybe that's the way to play it. If you think it's going to continue being low scoring, maybe backing him at a big number.
Now, Bellingham could be in the mix as well. Daniel Malin. There's a few candidates to keep an eye on. I just that number on Mbappe, just it's killing him. Mbappe, everyone. It's not just any old player. England and the Netherlands go Wednesday in the other semi-final tie. England, predictably so, ended up going to extra time in penalties before the dispatch of Switzerland. They did go down a goal in that game, and it was Saka who got the goal back for England. Another game where they just failed to impress. Change of formation really didn't make that much of a difference. What can be said is England are excellent at penalties. 5 spectacularly taking penalties by the English players, and you felt comfortable in a penalty shootout that England was going to advance against Switzerland. The Netherlands had a little bit of a scare. They went down a goal to Turkey. The second time they went down a goal in this tournament, they went down a goal to Poland in their first match as well. It came from behind. The exact same scoreline played out. 2-1 was the final. If you were backing the Cody Gakpo goal scoring market, it was close. It turned out to be an own goal. The ball did come off the defender, but Gakpo was right there for that game. For the Dutch, they've been eliminated in 4 of the previous 5 semifinals at Euros. The one time they did advance, that brilliant Marco van Basten goal in 1988, which was also held in Germany, also the year that they went on to win the Euros. 9 goals scored in the tournament for the Netherlands. Only Germany and Spain have scored more, and their XG over the course of the tournament is 8.2, which is 4th best, which is appropriate to bring up England's XG over the course of the tournament, 4.36, with 5 goals scored. And England have played to the under, obviously, in their last 6 games overall. England, incredibly, went 22 years without reaching a semifinal. This is now 3 semifinals in the last 4 major tournaments under the much maligned Gareth Southgate. This is going to be their 4th meeting in a major tournament against the Netherlands. England have only won once out of their last 9 head-to-heads against the Netherlands. That game did come in a friendly. And of all nations, England has played over 20 times. The only country that they have a lower win rate against is Brazil at 15%. They've only won 27% of their games against the Netherlands. 6 wins, 9 draws, and 7 losses. Even with the recent success the Netherlands have had against England, they haven't had a clean sheet in their last 6, but both teams to score has played in 5 of 6. England are the favorites in this one again. They've been the favorites in every game in this tournament. and they've yet to cover a line. They've been yet to cover a spread, incredibly. England at minus 131 to win outright in 90 minutes. The Netherlands at plus 116 on Pinnacle. Or sorry, that's to qualify. Plus 116 to qualify for the Netherlands, minus 131 for England to qualify. For the Netherlands to win in 90 minutes, plus 225, plus 185 on the draw, plus 171 to back England. It's a draw no bet once again. The Netherlands plus 116. That came down. You could have had them at a quarter of a goal at minus 120 yesterday, but the line has shifted. England at minus 126, and the total once again is set at 2. How do you look at this game, Jake? I think we know how England plays, but with the Netherlands joining the party, what does that mean?
Probably the same as the previous match. I'm not expecting many goals. I'm not expecting many fireworks. I think it's going to be very tight, very attritional. One probably does it. If not, it might be a 1-1 that goes further. We saw the Dutch in their the game they played against the best team so far, which was France, and that finished 0-0. They just kind of cancelled each other out. Obviously, this is slightly different, not being a group game, but I would expect a similar kind of approach. You might see Jeremy Frimpong play on the right wing to just tighten things up a little bit and add a bit more defensive security. I hope from an England perspective we see Luke Shaw, because I think we need him for the balance, the overall balance of the team. I'm hoping that 45 minutes or so that he played the other day is going to be enough for him to be match ready for at least 70, 75 minutes. But the bet I'm drawn to is Netherlands most booking points on the handicap. I can't believe that we're getting close to an even spread. It's minus 118 for the Dutch on a +0 handicap. So basically, if the cards end up level after the game, then we get our money back. And Netherlands win the card count, we get a winner. The referee is a really interesting appointment. I won't go into too much detail, but it's Felix Zweier. He's a German referee. He's averaged 4.9 cards per game this season. So far at the Euros, he's dished out 4, 5, and 4. He has a bit of history with Jude Bellingham. I'll touch on it very briefly. Zweier was actually banned for match fixing in Germany, and after a recent, I think it was a De Klassiker or something between Dortmund and Bayern, Bellingham I think came out and basically called him out on it and said, "What's he doing refereeing?" There's a couple of dodgy decisions and stuff. So that is a bit of history there. Not saying that we're going to get anything like that here, but the bet is all centered around the fact that England are the most fouled team at the tournament. They've won more fouls per game than any other side by quite a margin as well. It's over 2.3 fouls more per game. And if you'd have backed this bet blindly in England's 5 matches, you would have had a winner 4 times and you'd have had a push once. And if you'd have backed it blindly in the Dutch matches, you'd have had a winner 3 times, pushed once, and lost just once. So the Dutch don't mind throwing the weight around. And England's just the way in which they play, the kind of players that they have. They're so good at retaining the ball. Foden, Bellingham, Kane, Saka. They're pretty direct and they absolutely draw fouls. So that's the angle for me, is just backing the Dutch on the booking handicap.
Okay. I have a couple thoughts here. This is the best team that England has played. You mentioned Luke Shaw. He came on for a little bit of a cameo. If he starts, I worry for England. They need a player like him, but he doesn't look fully fit. He doesn't really look in shape, does he? I worry about what that left side of the England team looks like if it's Frimpong and Dumfries coming down that right-hand side with any kind of regularity. I think it's a spot in the field that England can be exposed. So if Luke Shaw ends up playing, I think Luke Shaw to be booked is a good bet to make in this game. The numbers aren't listed right now on Pinnacle. They will update, but that's something that I would keep an eye on if he does start that game. I think that a caution could be in the works. You know me, Jay, like I generally don't touch the draw market. I just don't. But how can I look at an England game, especially with the stakes this high, and look at it any other way? At plus 185, that seems to be the way to go. Do the Netherlands have the ability to just completely dominate England in every facet of the game and go on and comprehensively beat them? I say no. I think it's going to be very much of a cagey chess match again, like we saw against the Swiss. 2 teams cancel each other out, showing bravery at times. There might be a goal in it for each team. Maybe not. I'm not quite sure on that. So I will be making a play on the draw market. My favorite play, though, and it's going to be a little bit of a punt here, but I think there's real reward here, is England to win on penalties at plus 820. If this game goes to extra time, very rarely does a goal get scored in extra time. And beyond that, is England going to lose in a penalty shootout? It's incredible where we've come in the last 5 years from a position where England will never win a penalty shootout to one where they're well drilled. Their processes are very good. They have elite penalty takers, and they have a goalkeeper who has done the homework, done the work with the staff with the English side, and he knows what to do. And it's become predictable in a good way for England. I think this game has extra time written all over it. If it does that, then why not make the play for penalties? And why not bet the side with the better penalty takers? Harry Kane wasn't on the field for a penalty, and you still felt like England were in complete control. We're going to win it. Tony, an excellent penalty taker. Bellingham, you have all the trust in the world. Go down the list. Like, Jake, for me, that's a play to make at plus 820. Try to capitalize on that because this has been the game model for every England game under Southgate at this tournament. Play it safe and try to reap the rewards in the end. The process doesn't matter. It's just the end result is what's paramount here. England in penalties at plus 820. I think it's worthwhile to make a play.
Yeah, I don't disagree. You mean you listed off the penalty takers there? We've basically got about 4 or 5 club teams' first choice penalty takers, don't we? Lining up. Then you've got arguably the best ball striker in, yeah,
Palmer. I didn't
Palmer,
mention Palmer.
Trent, yeah,
Trent.
one of
I
the
mean,
best ball strikers in the country. So yeah, it's like I said, Kane didn't even take one. So from a taker's perspective, I have to admit, when we were watching the Switzerland penalty shootout, I was very confident. With the players that were left on the pitch, I was very confident. Even if it went to 6 or 7, because I'm pretty sure Luke Shaw has taken a couple of good penalties for England when needed to. Pickford's put a couple in as well. So even if it gets that deep, so yeah, I'm with you on that. I do think there's every chance this one goes the distance again. It'll be nervy, but as long as England get it done, it doesn't matter how they get it done, does it? That's the main thing.
yeah. The Dutch have also played a game like this in the tournament. They're 0-0 against France, a couple chances both ways. Obviously, the controversial goal that was taken away. But England showed if they go down a goal, they can go in
Yeah.
and get one. And is there anything about the England shape defensively? If pressed, like they haven't played a really top attack in this tournament. I think some questions will be asked about the England defensive setup. It's just the Dutch. Will Koeman actually gamble to take that extra step to add that extra pressure on this back line? I just don't think they will. I think it's another game where they cancel
Yeah,
each other
I
out.
mean, I don't think he will either, just because of the threat that England would pose if he did. Because England haven't played a team yet where the teams come onto them. Everyone's been kind of the other way around, where England have had to have more of the ball and try and slowly break teams down. Obviously, it doesn't help when you go behind, but this could be a really interesting game for England, where they get to do something they've not been able to do so far at this tournament. If the Dutch do try and take the game to them, which yeah, I mean, I would be surprised as well if they did, just because of we're at the stage of the tournament where everything, obviously the stakes are through the roof, and any mistake is going to cost you. So why would you take that risk of over just going too far, too gung ho, when you've got players like Saka and Foden and Kane and Bellingham, and the list goes on. Palmer off the bench, and I think that's something that we've not spoke about enough. Really, is the reason England are here is because of their squad depth. Because how they've been behind in both games in the knockouts, and it's been the players coming off the bench that have made a difference. It's all well and good saying you've got all these good players, but when you bring in great players off the bench as well, that is a huge deciding factor, especially in what's been a really long season with a lot of tired legs.
3 other sides in Euros have gone to extra time 3 times. 2006 Portugal, 2020 Spain, who inevitably lost to Italy, who went to extra time 3 times over the course of that tournament as well. It's trending in that direction, and England can add to that category. Just really quickly, lastly, I'm really interested to see what Ronald Koeman will do with his team selection. He has one big decision to make. Bergwijn has been playing down that right side. I wouldn't be surprised if he doubles up on Dumfries and Frimpong and attack England where their weakness is, and that's down that England left side right now, which may factor into what the markets, how they react, or what other potential bets can be made in this game. Good stuff. So those 2 games to be played over Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be back with a finals preview as well. He's Jake and I'm Wheels, and this has been your semifinal preview for Pinnacle at Euro 2024.